That's right. It's another late night and time for another reach into the Just Giggle It grab bag. And tonight we're pulling out, we're going full claw machine on this one. We have Remember Mike, Just Giggle It sketch number 31, and hooked right onto its little arm there is Forgotten Catchphrases, the companion video to Remember Mike, Forgotten Catchphrases, Just Giggle It sketch number 32. Wow, oh wow, we haven't had one like this. My, oh my, golly gee willikers, what do you know? So, man, I gotta tell you, man, we have two Sipkas for the price of one. What do you know? I mean, a part of me wonders if this is kind of an omen for this season of the Just Giggle It grab bag. You know, it's like the winds of change are a blowing, and Sipka's involved somehow. If only we could blend the two. You know, I wish we had like a name for this sort of phenomenon. You got anything?
Let's call it the season of Sipka.
Works for me. Yeah.
What'd you say?
Season of Sipka. Yeah.
All right. All right, that's right, folks. It is our penultimate installment of the season of Sipka Dragon, and something big is happening next week. Something really important that I just want to address at the top of the show, Dragon. It's not going to be on our usual Tuesday time slot. It's actually happening on Monday.
Big Monday.
Dragon, would you like to tell them about it? Just our first of a few plugs before we get into the actual content. Actual sketch of the show.
If you like Mark Sipka, you're in luck. Because what we're doing next week, the big culmination, the month of Fools and Funny, even, on the very day, but this ain't no joke, folks. April 1st, and you get out of your mind, this is not an elaborate prank, but April 1st, Monday.
I just realized that's actually perfect. That didn't even cross my mind until you addressed that.
Day of Fools, of Funny, and aplenty. We're sitting down with the man himself. We're sitting down with Mark Sipka, and we're gonna pester him as the day is long. We're gonna ask him questions, but not only are we gonna ask him our questions, our inane little stupid questions, we're gonna ask him your far better, superior questions if you leave them. Leave them in the comments. Leave them on the Discord page. On the Just Giggle Grab Bag section. We'll seek them out. We'll find them. We'll add them to the list. The Twitter, of course. Yes, the Twitter
at
is
SYWTBAI55.
Yeah, so basically just kind of
WAYTBAI55. At SYWTBAI55. See what I did there?
Yes.
All right.
Point being, just for simplicity's sake, folks, even if you just basically, again, so far the way I keep finding is just you type in just the so you want to be in Imagine, you're just with the first letters of that, followed by 1955, and you'll find it very easily on Twitter in the search bars. That's pretty much how you'll find it, or if you're all proficient in Twitter handles, I guess, what my associates just said here for you fine folks. Point being, leave it on the Twitter, leave it on the on the comments on the Sipka on the Sipka month videos or the Discord page. We'll find them, we'll add them to a list, we'll ask the man himself. They'll be the priority. Then we'll get to our stuff, but also we're just gonna sit down, kind of get to know the man, kind of pick his brain over. Hey, Mark, why did you make that choice? Were you taking funny pills that day? Be honest. Today's the tell-all, man. Tell us. No, but no, seriously. It'll be a lot of fun, I'm sure, because, of course, we saw Mark Sipka had a little bit of a sit-down with Joshua Thomas, I guess, probably like a month or so ago, and, it seems very personal. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun, but yes, and, of course, if you want to kind of prepare for that, kind of pre-game for it, as it were, of course, you have the Just Giggle It, the season of Sipka Just Giggle It videos we're doing here, along with the penultimate installment, but, of course, the other thing, if you want to really be kind of geared up and kind of like foaming at the mouth for Sipka, Tiki, what can they watch?
They can watch, Mark Sipka's special family special.
That's right. And where can they find it?
It's an Amazon special, folks, and it's free to watch for all Amazon Prime members. I actually have it linked in the description, Dragon. I'm efficient.
Sure.
Anyways, you want to see a roast like never before, folks. A roast not just of a important celebrity or a top dog or, but something much more personal. A family, a whole family right up there on stage getting roasted by the beloved youngest son, Dragon. It's delightful. It's utterly delightful. Mark Sipka is just, he keeps it family friendly, but he doesn't hold back. He doesn't pull punches. Every member of the family definitely gets taken down a peg, but also kind of gets illuminated in a loving light. And it's a very heartwarming special by the end of it. You know, it kind of comes full circle in a lot of ways thematically, especially with the mother. And it's just a very, very good time. Of course, you and I both agree that the father steals the show.
Tim Sipka.
Tim Sipka, yes, Tim
Timmy
Sipka.
boy.
He's just like, I refuse to sit on the sidelines. I'm going to name drop my mailman.
Yeah.
So
male comedy like you've never seen it before,
folks. Go watch it. Go support Mark Sipka and his endeavors. Dragon, I very much hope to see Mark Sipka live at some point in the next year or two. I really do. I'm trying to make that a personal goal of one of my SoCal trips. I take about 3 SoCal trips a year, so we'll see how that goes.
Right. So of course, what we're doing here, of course, with the season of Sipka is we're kind of celebrating. I've kind of dubbed him this nickname again. I kind of borrowed it from Agents of Shield with Melinda May, but just complete. I swear to God, a complete coincidence. I was just thinking of him in this capacity, and I realized that Melinda May's nickname from maybe subconsciously was there the whole time, but we've covered Piper Hinson and Alex Poncio. on the past season, kind of our past theme seasons of the Grab Bag, and we just kind of realized that of the kind of the big holy trinity, the kind of the DC trinity of Just Giggle. Joshua Thomas is kind of our Nick Cage Superman face man of it all. You got Poncio as kind of the Batman, kind of the secret weapon, kind of coming in for it's because he's Poncio, that sort of thing. And of course, we have Piper Hinson as kind of the Amazon goddess warrior of funny, kind of the G in
of course,
JGI,
naturally.
if you will. And again, so those are your face cards, but you know what, folks? You got to stack the deck with some surprises along the way. And one of the, of course, when you're outmanned and you're out for what are we gonna do? Poncio needs a break. Darn it, we can't keep milking Poncio for all he's worth. Darn it, he's only a man. But thank goodness, I kind of lovingly like to think of Mark Sipka as kind of the cavalry of JGI. When you're in doubt, when you're outmanned, when all is lost, when all
the Gandalf image that you speak so highly of.
Yes, when Poncio's on a coffee break, when you need those reinforcements, you call the cavalry, like Josh Thomas sounds like his old World War I walkie-talkie saying, "No, darn it, I need the cavalry now!" It throws it on the ground, breaks, and then over the horizon, kind of Lord of the Rings style, Gandalf style, it just Sipka enters, bringing the funny. And that's kind of over here celebrating the many facets of Sipka here. And of course, this we kind of celebrate kind of the thing that really kind of built the name of Sipka within JGI, kind of the classic age-old back and forth comedy of JGI. I'm talking like the Jackie era, not the Jackie O era, but the Jackie era of JGI. With Mark Sipka, kind of the Jackie and my two brothers era of Just Giggle It. It's bounds of plenty of talent and laughter. Again, it's where Mark Sipka kind of first, you will know the name Sipka from those videos, I assure you.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of what we're here to celebrate. Specifically what facet of Sipka we're kind of tackling today. So I guess before we go any further into the background and stuff on this, is there anything else we should mention?
You know what? I did the plug for the special family special, Dragon. So would you mind, since you're the big Batman fan in the room, would you mind going into the third and final plug of the evening? Thank you for being with us, folks.
Folks, you're probably wondering, why the heck are they delaying talking about? I came here for Sipka, darn. Why are these blithering idiots just?
You know what, Dragon? The fact that we have to do 3 plugs, it's honestly kind of feels like, hey, we're a professional podcast now.
Why are these dopes boring me to tears talking? just delaying things right now. When I want Sipka, darn it, it's called Season of Sipka. I see the season, but I'm not seeing the Sipka. Why? I'm going to tell you, I'm going to enrich your life right this very. Buckle up, baby, because I'm going to enrich your life like you never saw before. There exists a web series that you may or may not have seen right now. If you've seen it, watch it again. If you haven't, brace yourselves to have life-changing life lessons and plugs galore here, because I'm going to tell you about Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the real world. Just the pride and joy of Just Giggle. Of course, sketches aplenty. Again, the way sketch comedy should be done. I mean, look at SNL. Look at a lot of SNL right now. Like 25% of the SNL sketches are actually funny. In the day and age that we live in when that happens, we need sketches like what Just Giggle puts out. These guys know comedy. But aside from that, these guys know character as well as funny. You need character to be funny, and you need character to be funny, just to phrase it a little better, I suppose. Point being, if you like the characters of the Joker, because if you love Batman, why wouldn't you love the Joker? What's wrong with you? You love the Joker. If you love the Joker, statistics would dictate that you also have a soft spot for good old Harley Quinn. I mean, he's the Harley Quinn of hate, after all. Harley Quinn and Joker kind of go hand in hand, like peanut butter and jelly. You kind of need them. They're Oreos and the cream, as it were. You need them. So look no further, folks. If you're looking for, we have some good proto-Joker stuff on Gotham, and this Joaquin Phoenix thing is like not officially a Joker thing, but it's called Joker. It's like an origin of the Joker. That's cool. I'm sure that, hope, fingers crossed, that'll be good. Joaquin Phoenix, big name. But if you don't want to hang on maybes and hang on, it's going to pay off, I hope. Wait no further, folks. Go to Harley Quinn and Joker. You're going to see a Joker that's kind of an amalgamation of all the best versions of the Joker. I'm talking Hamill. I'm talking Neil Adams. I'm talking Denny O'Neil. I'm talking Dini. Dini up the wazoo, folks. Dini all over the place. And you're gonna have like Dini, Batman the Animated Series at its finest caliber of Joker, mixed in like all the highlights of the Joker, along kind of Harley Quinn, not only animated series, a little bit of like the best of Margot Robbie, a little bit of everything. There's an original take. Get 2 Harleys for the price of 1 in that show. If you're wondering what I mean by that, watch the show and you'll find out. Point being, this show is unlike many things you've seen before. You're going to click on a video, you're going to think it's okay, it's just Joker and Harley doing funny stuff in like a really odd setting. Ha ha. It's like a one and done sort of premise. But no, folks, there's a moment in that first episode. You watch the first episode, I swear to you, you're going to watch the first episode, you're going to have a moment where it's going to dawn on you, there's something more here. I got to watch the next episode. And you're going to be hooked. You're going to watch episodes 2 through 5. And when you get to 5, you're going to be blown away because 5 so far is the best out of the bunch. When you get to 5, you're going to say, I want more. Well, folks, Oliver Twist your lives no longer. Okay, you want more? Forget a bad man who's going to swat your hands away and deny you the porridge of life's nectar. Forget that noise. I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be in the can and ready and waiting. Right now, last I checked, they were filming and editing the process. Basically, it's for all we know, it's in the can, ready to be released. And the only way we're going to get it released, get the other episodes kind of in the works and released and vice versa. Again, right now, they're all being made, folks. But again, that takes time. But right now, we're probably, for all we know, it's in the Joshua Thomas Grand Prince Vault of life right now. It's just this grand old Prince Vault. It's in the canon waiting for us, and all we need to unlock the key to unlocking the vault is very simple, folks. Get the view count to episode 5 up to 1 million. 1 million! We could just watch it and send it around, spread the word, get the view count up to 1 million. Episode 6 will be released. We'll watch it, will be the better for it. That will get views, that will release the other episodes. It's very simple. So watch the show. You're gonna like it. You can thank me for it later. Like, I won't take edible arrangements or anything. Just, you don't even have to thank me. All right. Like the Batman, you don't need to thank me. Okay. Just watch it, enrich your lives, and you'll be better for it. Bring a little happiness and joy into the world. But in the meantime, let's get back to Sipka.
Dragon, my God, it's like I feel like much like the much like some of the other outros that we do, specifically the Christmas and July outros. You just keep ramping up that promo. You just keep like adding to it, and I'm just really impressed. It's like very intricate wordplay for you at this point.
Yeah.
All right. So anyways, do you want me to give my thesis on this sketch, Dragon? Would you like me to kind of share my general overall impressions of it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have 2 basic thoughts about this one. Number 1, as you mentioned, it's a great performance piece. It's kind of like a back and forth sort of like, like the 2 actors are very much co-leads with each other, but Sipka is really bringing it. And it's a great premise with the whole idea of like, you know, a high school friend who, you know, it's like it kind of speaks to like there's so many people that you interact with in high school that some of them are just kind of bound to slip through the cracks of your memory. And honestly, Dragon, that's kind of a concept I can relate to. But of course, in true Just Giggle It fashion, they definitely ramp it up and you know, put it into overdrive in their traditional way that they do. And it ends up being a really fun ride. I will say, Dragon, I have one nitpick with this, and that's that I'm not in love with the ending. I think the ending is a little bit rushed. But having said that, I feel like the overall performance on Sipka's end is just great. And we'll talk about the outtakes as well, which sort of add to seeing Sipka's improv skills in action. So I'm really excited to get into that side of things.
Yes.
All right. But overall, I really enjoyed it. So, what were your impressions of it?
I think it's remarkably clever. I really do, and it does some. There, I love the directing in this. I think the directing is something that's the thing that blew me away most about this. Over on the comedy and the wit was there. Basically, everything was there in pretty much under 3 minutes. That was just in itself is very impressive. They accomplished a lot, and again, it's kind of I kind of harken back to what we were talking about with the Hin season of the grab bag. The Piper Hinson month where we had we were paying the Piper her due. Where we were talking about the Mad Men parody, and again, there's some really great directing in that, and of course, there's some really so it's kind of a simple setup, simple delivery, and we kind of do that here. But I think we do that. I think we do the kind of the comedy and the payoff a little better than that. But again, we kind of equal kind of like the really great kind of opening shot of the sketch, which I really love. Man, I love the opening shot of this thing. I am. Very, dare I say, it's very ABQ verse-esque. It's very Albuquerque verse-esque.
To me, it kind of had a Birdman vibe.
Well, sure, but I mean, yeah, there's definitely, yeah, you're right. I mean, look, if you want to be split hairs, yeah, it's probably more Birdman. But I'm saying we've seen this done a lot of times in the Albuquerque verse as well.
Oh, sure.
Anyway,
speaking of prestige TV, Dragon, that's a good transition. Thank you for that, man. You know what else this reminded me of, Dragon?
What did it remind you of?
It reminded me of the whole process that Barry talks about, the show Barry, with the actors kind of having to give to each other. And just seeing Sipka and Sauger, just kind of like, it's a great sort of back and forth. You know what I mean? It's like comedy ping pong. And that's what I love about it, man. It's just like these two sort of like reacting to each other. Like Sauger is kind of like the straight man in the room. He's just sort of reacting to Sipka. And Sipka is just kind of like the Jim Carrey. You know what I mean? He's just kind of like bouncing off the walls, sort of just going more and more elaborate with each line he has. It's just kind of like this gag that just kind of ramps up and ramps up. But I feel like Sauger, with his sort of straight man reactions, very much gives Sipka a lot of room to play around with it, and in turn, Sipka gives Sauger a lot of room to react to what Sipka's talking about in a straight man way. You see what I'm talking about, Dragon?
What you're saying with Sauger is a very we're saying Sauger's a very generous scene partner.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Right. Of course, by the way, just kind of, since you brought it up, real quick, just I feel a great swell of gratitude to Piper Hinson especially, but the folks at Just Give, of course, they kind of introduced me tangentially to Mad Men and especially Piper Hinson to the Americans. So again, I feel really in their debt for kind of those introductions, for kind of the pushes to get to those shows. And I really wish I could return the favor, because the one show I desperately want Just Giggle It, specifically Piper Hinson, but again, the whole Just Giggle, because I'm sure they all appreciate, especially Joshua Thomas. I really would love them to watch. The only way I could like repay that debt is like, guys, watch Barry. On the side as well as Bates Motel, but I mean Barry specifically, because I think they get a kick. Don't you think they get a kick out of Barry?
I think Barry specifically because they're in that world.
I know, that's the thing, is every time I was watching, again, of course, well, again, we'll reveal whenever we do that biopic for Just Giggle. You'll know where there's definitely a Barry correlation.
Oh, I know where you're going with
yeah, there's
that.
definitely a Barry correlation with the Just Giggle for the biopic. I won't reveal it fully here, but Tiki knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Point being, Barry is the show that kind of is like synonymous with the DNA of what Just Giggle It is, or at least what I imagine. I think they get a huge kick out of it. On the side too, wish I could recommend the Piper into the Dark. Like, hey, watch Bates Motel. You're gonna love it. Vera Farmiga, she's amazing. The whole show is great. Again, that's just kind of for the Americans of it all. That's the trade-off for the Americans.
Bates Motel is like more of a commitment because it's essentially 50 42-minute episodes.
But 50 awesome 42
Barry is basically a 4-hour commitment.
Well, sure. Again, probably prioritize Barry, and like have a Joshua Thomas. I challenge you to have a party with Poncio. You guys, you go over there, have a little viewing party for Barry, make an event, have a make a nice little get together. I don't know, that'd be nice anyway.
Okay, if he did that, I'm calling this right now.
All right.
If he did this, then I would donate $50 to Just Giggle It.
Really, you would?
If he streamed it.
Oh, okay. If he streamed, there you go. Well, yeah.
If he streamed it.
Well, incentive if Josh Thomas or Just Giggle as the whole are listening.
If you're listening, guys, I would pay good money to see that.
Well, they probably just have to react to, because obviously they can't show Barry, otherwise there'd probably be HBO would probably.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, they'd kind of like maybe even
basically do like a live commentary reaction sort of thing to it, which
yeah.
Again, it might be a 1%er, but again, if like the $50 would justify it, I don't know. So I mean, sure, I don't know. Anyway. Point being, again, let's get off the Barry wagon here. Again, we're not giving Sipka his due. We gotta get a fully, we gotta steer things back to Sipka here.
Could you see Bill Hader playing Sipka?
Well, again, we kind of we had Jason Segel as Sipka before.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I believe it's Troy Gentile. I believe that's the actor's name. Plays Barry Goldberg from the Goldbergs. That's kind of the guy I was spitballing for Sipka, but yeah, the point is Jason Segel's, I think, the better call. Anyway,
my guy has more prestige.
I know he does. That's why I'm saying you're right. Yes.
Oscars, Dragon.
Oh, you were addicted to the Oscars, Lee. You need a Tiki. Listen.
Karaoke gag from Disney debates last night.
Tiki, listen. It's okay to admit you have a problem. It's okay. The Oscars.
I don't even know if Jason Segel's been nominated for an Oscar. That's the thing.
Tiki, all that glitters is not necessarily Oscar gold. Remember that, okay? It's a safe space. Anyway, getting back to Sipka, not the potential Jason Segel version of Sipka. Getting back to the genuine, original OG Sipka here. A little background.
Verse.
Anyway, so it's a little bit of background. Just Giggle was kind enough to give me some background on this sketch. Some very interesting background. So here's the origin. They kind of had a. This delights me because it kind of. Bear in mind, I'm kind of making a connection here. Probably is not really intended, but you know what? Basically, I learned that the origin of this sketch is Sagar Poncio, and Joshua Thomas. They're having lunch together. Of course, instantly calls to mind the Wally lunch to me. Just sitting down having ideas at a lunch. I don't know. Just imagine the minute I read that, I was thinking of oh my god, it's like an epic. Like they're all sitting down and having a brainstorm.
And it's like, okay, we have to write that into the biopic.
No. But I mean, we'll give them lunches. Maybe not to the Wally caliber, but yes, we'll give them lunches. Anyway, so Sagar, Poncio, and Josh Thomas are having lunch together, and they have an idea. They're kind of spitballing, I guess, or someone has kind of a light bulb moment. Basically, they all kind of happen upon the Remember Mike concept. So they tell Sagar to run with it. Oh, by the way, before I go any further, I should mention, okay, so this was directed and edited by Joshua Thomas, and was written by Sagar.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's how this broke down. So presumably they get the idea and they tell Sagar to go write and kind of flesh out the idea more, presumably. And basically, the core idea was to do another. Originally the idea was to do another Joshua Thomas and Mark Sipka pairing, basically very identical to kind of the My Two Brothers and the Jackie era of Just Giggle It. So that's pretty much what they were doing. But then the idea evolved. I guess I'm just going to fill in the blanks here. I presume that Sagar got more and more involved in it. He kind of found a voice within the thing, and in doing so, they kind of got rid of the traditional back and forth of Joshua Thomas and Mark Servais having tremendous, kind of that verbal back and forth, which is kind of dialogue to dialogue, where we have kind of the straight man comedian aspect. So it kind of evolved into kind of Sagar and Sipka having Sagar kind of inserting himself into the role, essentially is what it turned into.
Mm-hmm.
You'll notice there are a lot of they're all season 1 Easter eggs within this.
Oh
sketch.
yeah, for sure. There's
a lot of really good ones.
It's like the Just Giggle It cinematic universe that we've always dreamed about, Dragon.
And 3 out of 4 of them we've covered on the grab bag.
For sure.
All right, let's see. And of course, here's where we're gonna just to specify how we're gonna break this down too, folks. As you'll notice, as I mentioned, we had kind of a 2-for-1 with this one. We have Remember Mike and we have Forgotten Catchphrases. So the ways it's gonna happen. It's basically what happened was they're filming it, and Sipka is he's essentially Sipka improvises tremendously well, and you can kind of see that in Forgotten Catchphrases. Basically, he's improvising a whole bunch of catchphrases, kind of alternates for catchphrases. It kind of ended up being a lot of really great outtakes or alternative takes. And they had all this footage, and what they did, this is back when Just Giggle in their infancy. They were trying to meet a weekly deadline for videos and sketches, and they basically had enough there. Let's just try to sell it as another video. We're kind of short this week. Let's put it out there. So the following week you had Forgotten, you had Forgotten Catchphrases, which, like, if to the non-discerning viewers, you imagine this: if you had not seen sketch number 31, you go into 32. It's like, man, it's just kind of Sipka just kind of running wild and improvising. It's a guy with random catchphrase. That's kind of what it is. It in itself is quite hilarious. So the way we're going to break it down, folks, as we recap, when we get to that segment, we're going to kind of have like a brief intermission with all the kind of the forgotten.
Honestly, Dragon, the guy with all the random catchphrases, this Mike character, I could see him, like, not the Just Giggle It biopic, but the actual, like, Just Giggle It cinematic universe movie that we want to pitch. I could see you writing that guy into it.
That's maybe a little too niche, and this is me saying
it's literally like all his dialogue is just catchphrases. Like he only speaks in catchphrases.
I love if he had all Seinfeld catchphrases. That'd be stupid. Anyway, I don't want to be a pirate. Anyway. I'm out, and I'm loving every minute of it. Okay, anyway, seriously, off the Seinfeld catchphrases. Okay, the point is that's how we're going to break it down, folks. We're going to recap, and then we're going to have like kind of a brief interlude with Forgotten Catchphrases, then back to the main sketch. So all that said and done, let's just dive right in.
It'll basically be an intermission.
Yeah, and from what I hear Endgame is not going with the intermission. I hear they've clocked in at 3 hours and 2 minutes. So I believe
3 hours and 2 minutes. Yeah, Dragon. We'll talk about that. Hold that conversation for the
right, the memoirs.
Memoirs, yes.
Good point. I forgot about that. Yeah, we'll save it for that.
Can of worms in itself.
All right. Anyway, so let's get started.
Okay. So yeah, why don't you start by pointing out like the barrage of Easter eggs that we get right at the top of
this is what bothers me about the changing years, Tiki, is that sometimes Easter falls within March, and this would have been a perfect Easter companion with all these Easter eggs, but anyway, no, in all seriousness, so we have basically, I call this the Easter egg oneer, and this is my favorite part of the whole sketch. All right, so we have Easter egg oneer. We're basically kind of Albuquerque burst style, kind of like your Birdman being the operative example. Like Birdman, you look at the Marvel Netflix stuff like Daredevil. Basically when you have a oneer in I guess in directing terms is basically when you. For those who may not be aware, when you say oneer means like in one shot you go around the room and you follow a character.
Mr. Robot.
Exactly. Historically, again, you got to tell me if someone ever beats the record on Mr. Robot, because Mr. Robot, obviously, I guess Birdman holds the record for like a whole movie practically in oneer, and then you have Mr. Robot for like for full.
Well, yeah, but everyone knows that Birdman is technically like something like 15 shots.
Yeah, it's
on an actual runner.
That's a fair point. Point being,
Robots is something like technically like 3 or 4.
Still very impressive though. I mean, if it's 3 or 4, that's essentially it's saying every act break there, aside from like the cut for an.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, basically every act is oneer.
That really doesn't even count as like them like not doing the job. It's just like, okay, well they have like an act break in there, so it's like it's what do you mean? Point Point being, again, the point is like those are kind of the record holders for the longest oneers, but of course, Better Call Saul and the Albuquerque verse probably have the most intricate, well thought out oneers, and of course, the MC with Daredevil and stuff had probably the most historic runners, where you have like Cutman. Cutman's historically there's no. Cutman is like probably the best oneer fight scene you could ever imagine. Well, that and of course in Daredevil season 2. But anyway, trailing off. Point being, a oneer is really cool. And we have Mark Sipka. We have Mark Sipka is kind of palling around, and we have the first Easter egg. We have the first Easter egg where they're all palling around. They're all on the couch, and it's Mark and Joshua Thomas and someone else. They're all kind of basically a joke has been said by Joshua Thomas, and he's like, "Adios, muchachos." Which leads to the Mark Sipka saying, "Ha, you're speaking Spanish," and he walks off, beginning the oneer. Now, of course, this is an Easter egg to Jackie. Of course, that's how Jackie starts off, with just mid joke with like "Adios, muchachos," which, by the way, I could be wrong. And again, I guess Josh, I think I might have to go back to Jackie see if we got confirmation on this, but just in case we didn't. I think "Adios, muchachos" might be a Soup Nazi reference from Seinfeld. It might be. Because there's a bit in the Soup Nazi where
I've definitely heard it before somewhere. It's definitely
again if I'm remembering correctly, in the Soup Nazi you have a bit where a guy saying por favor. It says he basically mistakes the Soup Nazi for he says, "Hey, you and I were I forget what nationality he says, but you and I were Hispanic." And he says, "Oh really? Well, adios muchachos," and he just tells him to get out of there. I think that's what he says. Either that, or I'm thinking of an obscure Ben Stiller reference. It's one of the two. Anyway, point being, just he's telling a joke, and of course it's from Jackie, which is one of the greats of Sipka and Josh Thomas, kind of having the back and forth there. See, and these are all season 1 Just Giggle It sketches they're referencing, which is kind of cool, showing you how early on this is. I mean, chances are they might be in season 2 at this point. I'm going to assume season 1 was between 10 or 20 episodes, which might bring us to 3. But again, it could just be all season 1 references. Point being, we have the oneer begin as Mark Sipka is kind of walking through the room. We kind of, as the camera is following him, we're kind of eavesdropping other conversations and other Easter egg references to other Just Giggle sketches. And again, they're worked in brilliantly because you have in a natural setting, like, okay, just something conversational. Therefore, you get hey, a little Jackie reference, and he's moving through the room. And let's see. Oh, by the way, the set. I can't remember where it was in season 1, but the set they're in right now, like where we start with that little, the Jackie reference. It's the "I don't watch porn" set. Remember, Ponzi? It's like, "I am with you." That whole thing.
How could I ever forget that one, Dragon? Jesus.
Exactly. It has the
Ponzio tour de force. That was definitely an Alexander Ponzio.
Alexander Ponzio.
Just for an even 3. Alexander Ponzio.
Let's go for an uneven 4. Wait a minute. No, that isn't even 4. Darn it. Why? Now you got me screwed. Point being, let me try saying it one more time. Alexander Ponzio.
All right.
Anyway, point being.
Again, we're doing Gary stuff, Dragon.
Yes. Anyway, okay. Point being. So, we're in that similar setting. He's walking through the party, and again, very well. Also, it's really well scored too. We have just kind of the music playing. I don't know. It's just really well chosen music that's kind of playing under the oneer. So then we have Julian Silver very upset on a phone call, and again, they kind of used a very simple trick. Again, it's like they're all. At least 2 of our little Easter eggs are kind of via phone call, which kind of makes sense. That's how you would do an easy eavesdropping reference if you're walking through a room, so you kind of hit your beats and move on without being too hindered by it or stopping the action. Kind of a walk and talk, very Birdman-esque in that regard, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So we have Julian Silver.
Julian Silver is asking, "What do you mean you won't sell me roses?"
So of course, it's a
great Dragon, which is great because that is of course a reference to historically the first sketch we ever covered on the Just Giggle It Grab Bag. Oh man,
pretty flowers, absolutely
pretty flowers for a pretty lady.
So I'd like to think the other end of that phone call is Joshua Thomas. And again, I'm not saying they should have showed this. They play it just right here, but it makes the mind wander. I'd like to think that Julian Silver's just a man who appreciates roses, and he wants to order some roses for himself. That's what I like. I think you can read it 2 ways. The way I'd like to read is that he appreciates. He wants
to see a meeting between between the Pretty Flowers guy and Tommy Wiseau.
Oh
Tommy
God!
Wiseau just walks in like, "Hello, I'd like to buy a dozen red roses, please." You're not pretty lady. What, you think I'm lady? Ah, ha, ha, ha. All right. Anyways,
But imagine this: so basically, he's a man who wants to buy roses for himself, and of course, the flower vendor refuses to sell it to him because he's not a beautiful woman. Pretty flowers for a beautiful woman.
and again, I'm still like halfway convinced that that's like an Aladdin reference.
Yeah, it's a thing. So I just love that he
Pretty necklace for a pretty lady.
either that or the funnier version of it is that the man's just trying to buy flowers for his wife or something. But again, the flower vendor, he has like it's almost like a cosmic disturbance in the force. The guy just like, no, she is not deserving of these flowers. But you haven't even seen her. I know.
That's honestly more the way I read it, Dragon.
I think that's the correct way. But also, it's like, oh, maybe the guy wants to buy some flowers to perk up his day. I don't know. Maybe he's a flower guy. I don't know. You know. Anyway, so flower continuity aside, then we have Piper. Now, this is the one sketch we haven't gotten to of the ones I referenced here. We have Piper Henson and the girls like Jamie Cox, and there's a third one I can't quite see. I mean, I want to say it's Katie Garland, but again, I think this is before Katie Garland's time, so I don't think it's her. It's basically someone who's kind of obscured. It might be Courtney Coleman. I can't quite make it out. Point being, the group of girls, which includes Piper Henson and Jamie Cox, and they're playing "Never Have I Ever," which is the name of a sketch. The whole "Never Have I Ever" sketch, where basically it's Piper Henson leading the game of "Never Have I Ever," and that's what they're doing there as they're walking through. And we kind of pan to the table real quick again without breaking the shot. So Sipka continues to walk, and then of course we're about to make a turn here, and of course Brian Wiley shows up. Good old Brian Wiley, the original Don Draper. Brian Wiley, yeah.
Before John Hamm.
You know, I don't know what it is. I forget it because Brian Wiley, of course, really good director. Of course, he the man does Twilight Zone like nobody else. Again, aside from Jordan Peele, obviously. But well, again, I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know. But I'm just going to assume Jordan Peele's going to be successful because he hasn't been unsuccessful yet.
The first episode is the Gremlins on the Wing of the Plane episode.
Get out! They're starting with that.
Yeah, they're starting with that.
Yeah, I can't. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to watch that show, at least directly, because of the whole CBS All Access thing. Otherwise, I'd be watching that show. So that's the bummer for me. But it's good to hear he's doing stuff like that. Anyway, point being, Brian Wiley, director extraordinaire, and of course, I keep thinking of as that Don Draper thing. That sketch I think is really hilarious. I don't know. The man was kind of a perfect Don Draper choice. That's why I keep going like the original Don Draper. Point is, Brian Wiley's walking down the stairs, and he's on the phone. And let's see.
I feel like somewhere, oh man, somewhere John Hamm is just like his spidey senses tingling, and he's like, someone's taking credit for my incredible acting.
Some next gen 2-bit Draper wannabe. I'm just saying that's like, it's John Hamm just like being embittered by the whole "I've been replaced." No, not the younger model.
God.
Hollywood still, everyone wants to make me Batman in Hollywood, but why can't Warner see the light?
Oh,
anyway, getting back, it's either me or Army. Make the choice already.
Leonardo DiCaprio should play Batman.
Oh God. Are you a cop?
Because he's won Oscars.
Again, T, we gotta check you into like a Betty Ford Oscar clinic or something.
Okay, well at this point I'm just trolling you, Dragon, alright.
All right, let's see. I just want to make sure I get the I'm trying to remember what
Oh, it was shoot.
Oh wait, I got it. Sorry, I got it. Okay, so Brown was walking there, and basically but it's my cheat day. All right, fine.
Yeah,
so it's my
cheat day. Right, of course.
Cheat day.
Cheat day.
Oh god, cheat day is lovely. It's so ridiculous. Okay, we're gonna fall down a rabbit hole with all these Easter eggs. And the point is, really, we'll integrate Easter eggs is the main point here. So then, again, the tracking shot reveals that he's been walking to the kitchen to greet Sagar. So he greets Sagar. 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 So he greets Sagar, and they exchange some pleasantries. Oh yeah, how are you? Did you say hi to Mike yet? So of course we bring up Mike, and of course the hilarious thing, if not for the punchline of this, ultimately, how hilarious would this be out of context, Tiki, for our whole "We Heart Mike" thing?
Yes, yes.
So we list out all these awesome things that Mike does, and obviously there's a main reason it can't be Mike. But aside from that punchline, everything else would be play perfectly the whole "We Heart Mike" thing. Point being, I says, have you said hi to Mike yet? Who's Mike?
You know, Mike.
Mike. Mike.
He's that behind biology.
I love how it begins here. What's the initial, just kind of the repetition of Mike's here. This is where we begin kind of the affect of Sipka here. And again, this is the mark of a truly good actor, folks. You know, the old adage is that a truly great, a remarkable actor can read the phone book and make it interesting. You know, Sipka's giving options for the phone book here, in essence. That's what he's doing. Yeah. All right, so simple layout. Mark Sipka is building up this guy who we're building up the question for who this guy is. He's kind of building up by asking who is this Mike person, giving all these various
legend
examples.
Of Mike.
Yes, the legend of Mike.
All right, so basically,
Mythology.
So Sipka's basically like, he was in biology with you. He had glasses. Well, half the kids in that class wore glasses. You're gonna have to be more specific. Well, he was always wearing his varsity jacket, man. Let's see. And then Sakaar again, I just love his just kind of like straight man, like, nope, doesn't ring a bell. Okay, and then here the sketch just kind of goes it goes from like a 6 to an 8 dragon. It kind of does a throttle shift where Sipka's like, okay, 9th grade. He was in a play and he was so method that he literally cut off his hand to play Captain Hook. And it's like, at this point, we're just kind of like in the Just Giggle It, like crazy universe, like
so
the heightened reality.
On the whole, what's so great about this, I just love to think that Sipka is just riffing and just kind of improvising like crazy. And again, based on the other video, of course, it kind of confirms that. But it's pretty much like Sipka's providing all these great options, probably just improvising like the days long, and just coming up with these great outlandish kind of ways to hype up Mike more than Mike's ever been hyped up before. The ninth grade method actor turned quarterback with he was a quarterback on the football team with the hook. The quarterback with the hook.
The quarterback with the hook. Dragon, that might be my favorite image in the sketch. Just the whole how can you forget that? And just the whole idea, the absurdity of a quarterback with a hook.
Yep. So, of course, he was the valedictorian. He was the valedictorian with the speech that made everyone cry. And then we have the catchphrase. So first, folks, let me say what the actual line is, basically what we have before us here. So he says that, that's catchphrase. And again, this is the whole reading the phone book kind of quality here. Basically, Sipka, he's giving kind of these wonderful options for a line.
It totally is reading the phone book.
So, we have this kind of remember remember his catchphrase? What'd you say? What'd you say?
What'd you say? And then it's just it's just a wonderful classic, right on the nose, right out of the rule book of comedy, Dragon, the rule of 3.
Yes. The greatest law in comedy. Honestly, one of the greatest laws in storytelling ever to this day. I mean, usually the only breach in the rule of 3, sometimes it goes to 5. Rarely does it go to 5. It's only when you want to subvert rule of 3 does it go beyond that. But rule of 3 is a bylaw of the universe, man. It's like the Murphy's law of storytelling and all of comedy. Rule of 3 is law. But yes. So basically, with the
oh yeah, and they just nail it. It's like it's
now, of
so
course they went with
they
ended up going with. Of course, this is where we get to evaluate Joshua Thomas, the editor. We get to really critique him here. So it's yes.
The editor.
So a little fun fact, because we bring it up earlier with your little DiCaprio thing, but a little Sam Raimi factoid here. Sam Raimi, when he did the Spider-Man movies, he had editors provide 2 cuts of the movies. So we'd kind of pick between them and kind of shuffle them together.
Really?
Yeah, that's why you have like the editor's cut of Spider-Man 3 after all these years, and they have like Spider-Man 2.1 because you basically two end versions of what the movie basically like.
Oh, that's what the point one was. Oh, I knew that those existed. I just didn't know that's what they were.
Well, I'm based on the fact that the editor's cut of Spider-Man 3. I assume that 2.1 is the same thing as the editor's cut. I mean, I've seen it. I'm just assuming that it might as well be. I assume it's the same deal because they had alternate takes, so they kind of worked in there. Therefore, it fits like the editor's cut thing.
Gotcha.
But that's the thing. Basically, it has like two full cuts of a Spider-Man movie, and then they're kind of shuffled together, and like whatever the end version is, or whatever like the alternate version is for a re-release. So that's kind of what happens there. So anyway, back to the editing of this. So the whole what you'd say is I guess the one that fit the gag most. I think this one could probably fit the sketch most because everything else is just icing on the cake and just great, but not necessarily something that you bare bones. What you need is what do you say? What do you say? Of course, the gag being what you say is very like anyone could have said that. That's the gags. Obviously, you need something very direct.
I also feel like the reason why what you say was chosen is that it's out of all of them, it's probably the one where you can say it with the most inflictions. And I think that's the gag. The gag is that Sipka is saying it in like this variety of ways. And again, Dragon, it kind of calls to mind that Barry sketch or that Barry moment where they're repeating the same phrase.
Yeah.
They're doing it in different ways, in different tones. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. All right, so then we have now, folks. We break for our intermission, or a brief interlude, or brief. Basically, we're gonna.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby,
folks. This is where we go full Dunkirk on this thing, man. We're gonna kind of stop. We're gonna stop the reel right here. We're gonna Dunkirk. We're gonna go. We're gonna go.
We're just as ambitious as that, Dragon.
We're gonna go from the first sketch. We're gonna reach into the second sketch. Then we're gonna jump right back into it. We're gonna be really ambitious.
We truly are the Nolan of podcasting.
Okay, now we're just being silly, but in all seriousness, now we're gonna breach kind of the forgotten catchphrases of it all. Kind of the catch, kind of the hooked on, kind of the Buzz and Woody of the claw machine, if you will. We talked about Buzz, now we're talking about Woody here. So okay, so now we're breaching into the. You may think it's just like, oh, it's just referencing Toy Story, but there is actually a point that I'm going to get to in my final thoughts. Is I'm actually kind of seeding the narrative here with that Buzz and Woody reference. I swear to God, I am. So, insane as it sounds, just bear with me, folks. It all makes sense. So we have a bunch of alternate takes, of course, with Mark Sipka here, and of course I have some of the favorite alternates here. So my favorite starts the things off here. We have if the T-shirt fits, if the T-shirt fits, T-shirt fits. I don't know, it's just the most outlandish, out of left field. Like if the T-shirt fits, like that's his catchphrase.
Nice face, man. Nice face, man. Nice face, man.
Yeah, there's multiples, which is stop, yield, slow children playing. Did you make these? Did you make these?
That's my favorite one, Dragon. That's my favorite one. I just love the. Did you make these? It's just again, I feel like that's the one that truly anyone could have said. It's like it's not a catchphrase at all.
It has like one that's really hard to make up. It sounds like Oswego, Oswego,
Oswego.
Yeah. Let's see. I see you.
It sounds like a rip-off pasta sauce.
It's like sounds like a mixture of like Hasta La Vista and Hasta Luego. I don't know. Anyways, then we have like I see you, I see you, I see you. And of course we have run home, Jack. I think it might just be run home, Jack. It's just really out of left field. Just run home, Jack. A part of me wishes it was like you run home, Charlie, because I would love that reference, but it wasn't that. I can't run home, Charlie. Don't let anyone
run home and as fast as you can, and don't look back.
Beware that scary tunnel scene where you bump into Slugworth. It's going to be really impactful. Anyway, so of course, 100%. Basically, 100% is
we hear the crew in the background just cracking up.
Your Joshua Thomas breaking up specifically, just like 100%. Just I don't know. That has to be an inside joke. It must be like a maybe an inside direction that Joshua Thomas gives. Like give it 100%, Mark. 100%. Okay. Anyway, so now the brief interlude has ended. Now back to the now we're.
It's me.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let's Dunkirk back into the original film now. Back to the original sketch. So.
Right.
All right. Let's see. Oh yes, then we have more examples here. Just this, remember he gave you mouth to mouth, and this is hilarious. Like, he gave you mouth to because the more detailed it gets, the more outlandish and more specific and more like, okay, now is this guy? How is this guy not remembering these now? Because like he gave you mouth to mouth after you almost drowned playing water polo. So here's what cracks me the most about it. I love the fact that it's just the water polo of all sports, like the rich man's sport, is what he's playing water polo. Really? Anyway, so it's like you're playing water polo. Okay, I would have remembered that. Remember, he gave you mono. I just love the response. You're just like Sagar just like takes a sip here because like, how do you respond to it? He gave you mono. It implies that he remembers the mono. He doesn't remember Mike, but he remembers the mono, and it's very uncomfortable for him to talk about. So he just takes a swig there.
He saved your nephew from that bear cave at the zoo. Okay. It was all over the news. They interviewed you.
Okay, now I am convinced. I will be shocked if this is not an Anchorman reference. I gotta be honest. I'm gonna be shocked if this is not a reference to Anchorman.
I can see it. I can see it.
I mean, you remember, like, he literally falls in the. I mean, tell me.
I know. Anchorman. I know what you're talking about.
I know you are. But I mean, I'm not crazy with this, right? I mean, yeah,
maybe I could see
climax of Anchorman's beat for beat. What happens? I mean, it's not a nephew, but everything aside from that, it's it
was all over the news.
Got interviewed. All of that is very factually accurate.
Right.
Maybe not factually accurate, but it's accurate. Anyway, so he gets nothing. Just points. It's like dead again. It's like deadpan. Sagar got nothing. This is his party. What was his name again? So we're just completely backtracking completely here. So okay, so really he's taken nothing away from this whole the who is Mike conversation. Like, where in the world is Carmen San Diego? I think not. Where in the world is this Mike person everybody seems to know but this guy? That's the real sketch. Then we have just this moment where he says, huh. So we have this moment where Sipka kind of pulls out, okay, fine, time for the ace up my sleeve. All right, okay, I'm going to be direct about it, huh? Okay, he's black. Oh, Michael!
Oh, Michael!
Of course I know him, yeah.
Hello, Michael.
I believe the kind of the other punchline is like he wants you to get. Isn't it he went to get ice or he wants you to get ice? Like,
Dragon, I for the life of me can't tell.
I think it's that he went to get ice. That's what I heard. Unfortunately, before we kind of have like the very accurate kind of closed captions we have today. Now it's all like a jumble of like very wrong translations now. Regardless, like he either went to get ice or he wants Sagar to get ice, which either way would explain why he's going to him, but otherwise just like, oh yeah, he went to get ice. So okay, let's break down to the big punchline of it all here. So I love this, and this to me is the clever thing. We have like the visual style and substance of the opening. We kind of punchline it perfectly with a really smart gag. This is a very Curb Your Enthusiasm joke that I loved, where it's a really great satirical joke, and it's like we've all been there in some way, shape, or form. Where sometimes the obvious kind of call, the obvious identifier, be it direct or not, the obvious comparison. I just say he's calling out that, hey, this guy's done so many other things, but of course there's the black guy in the room. Of course, you call it out. It's like it mines direct results, but it's still like kind of undercutting. Like let's not just. Why do we have to identify him just first and foremost by just he's the black guy? I mean, it's an identifier, and of course you reach into some muddy territory. The point is always like kind of a political correctness associated with like just kind of identifying someone like that. And I love they kind of brought out kind of they kind of did in the best way possible, where you have this great elaborate thing just kind of showing the hoops people will jump through before they just go with the direct comparison, which we've all been guilty of at some point in our life. Where just like why it's like. I can't tell you how many times like with an older relative or something, so you have to remind them who somebody is. Like the black guy in the movie. It's like you've been there.
Mm-hmm.
This to me was like the most clever version of doing that, and it's how drawn out it was, and how just again how it hit every mark. And I thought it was great, and I think it might be. I could be wrong here. I meant to double check on this, but if it didn't, for life me for like it, I think it might be an inside joke too. The fact that I don't really think there are any, at the very least in this sketch, we don't have any black cast members of Just Giggle It. To this day, at the very least, right now, I know they don't have any. At least,
yeah, that's the thing. I was kind of rolling it over in my mind as well. Joshua Thomas is Latino. That's about the closest I can think of.
Well, the point being, it's like, yeah, we don't have. I don't think there's a black member of the Just Giggle It cast, and I believe crew as well. But again, I don't know. Maybe there's a crew member we just haven't seen yet. And again, we haven't seen every sketch, so we don't know. But the point being, I think it might be kind of like the old Seinfeld joke. See, the old Seinfeld joke is that is the fact that rarely on the show they would address the fact that there are very little black characters, and Curb Enthusiasm makes fun of this all the time. The fact that Larry David gets accosted by the fact of why weren't there any black people on Seinfeld? It's just like. It's the fact that they're four New Yorkers who again they just didn't make any black friends. It's just they wouldn't have come across.
Right,
I don't know.
right.
It's kind of that logic. Well, I mean, it's not no reason behind it. It just happened that way, and they kind of called it out here in a really hilarious way. I guess. So again, I don't know if that was part of the initial concept. Or again, I'm assuming they just wanted like a type of sketch, and then Sagar came up with the punchline. I like to think Sagar came up with the punchline. I think that was just an ingenious, again, really great satire to the whole thing. So basically, that gets us in the final thoughts then. So, what do you think?
Well, I mean, here's my nitpick, Dragon. It's not with anything that you laid out. All that, like that, the racial punchline is great. I do like that punchline. I just don't like the ice bit, and the only reason I don't like the ice bit is frankly because I can't understand it in the closed captioning. So help. So really, it's really not an issue of writing.
It's like an early Just Giggle It technical issue where sometimes
exactly, and that's literally my only nitpick with the whole sketch. So I'd like to pretend that it just ends with like, oh, Michael, yeah, of course I remember him.
Yeah, and of course it's like kind of like Just Giggle It production wise now they shoot a little bit more, and like they've used the YouTube studios a number of times, and I'm sure they have better sound equipment. So like now that things have remedied, but again, it's like an older sketch. Like, again, whether it's in season 2 or 3, it'd probably be, I guess, probably. You know what? They just now gotten to season 4, so I mean this had to be at least season 2. It's either like it has to be like early season 2. That's my guess on all this. Point being.
Also, really quick though, I want to address the subscribe. Click subscribe.
Oh, that's really great too. Yeah, that's fun.
And the reason why I want to address that, Dragon, is off to the side. Click to watch our latest sketch, Hitler in Space Jam,
which is another great one, by the way.
I just took amusement in the fact that happened to be there.
Yep.
All right. Anyways, so yeah, I think this is a very it's interesting because it's an ambitious sketch in terms of like, hey, this is like almost kind of like the closest thing that we've seen to the Avengers of the Just Giggle It cinematic universe in a very small scale way, but still there's a lot of of Easter eggs going on and a cool tracking shot in the beginning, and that's really well done. But by the same token, you also get this traditional, very by the books in a good way, kind of back and forth dialogue between the two. And Sipka especially shines because he's kind of like the funny man in this one. He's the guy who's, really delivering all the elaborate lines and really just kind of like upping the comedy every time he speaks. So in that way, Dragon, I feel like it's a very appropriate way to end out the season of Sipka in terms of sketches before we actually get into talking with the man, the myth, the legend himself next week.
Yeah, this again, the sketch it's a very smart joke with kind of the Just Giggle It signature of amping it up and kind of getting to the ultimate kind of clever button of it all. And again, it's kind of a clever button that retroactively makes the whole sketch better. I want to really highlight that because, again, that punchline makes everything else even funnier on a rewatch, and you realize where it's kind of all building to, even when it hits you in the middle, like, oh my God, we've been building up so much. And of course, yeah, it's a perfect punchline. It's very well directed. It's full of cool references. And again, and I'm paying off the big little Toy Story reference I made earlier here, where, again, this is Mark Sipka selling some really silly dialogue and selling these on literally like reading it from the phone book and making it work to an extent. He's giving all these great alts, these great alternate takes and these great improvisations. And again, it feels very indicative of just to give him the highest praise here as we're kind of like closing out the sketches of it all for him. Again, this thing attests to one of the great gifts of Sipka with his improvisational abilities, and it's kind of very indicative of one of the great performers like Tom Hanks on Toy Story, where you had Lee Unkrich, back when he's editing, the director of Toy Story 3, started off as an editor on Toy Story. He had this great philosophy you and I have kind of adopted for a number of things, where it's he says, when I'm editing Tom Hanks, because Tom Hanks gave him a lot of great choices editing-wise, gave him a lot of different line readings. Like one of the ones that always comes to mind is the various no's, like when Woody is when the rocket, basically when the match goes out, when the car whizzes by and blows out the match, it's like no. He's giving all sorts of different line readings. Yeah. And Lee Unkrich, he always says that Tom Hanks. When I'm editing Tom Hanks, it's like sifting through a basket of diamonds, and we've used that diamond philosophy for like a number of things. They're all good, and they'd all work splendidly. And of course, we've used that diamond philosophy for a number of things. But I think it also applies to a performer like,
except for maybe Cars 2 and The Good Dinosaur.
Why you gotta undercut the point like that? Come on.
I'm sorry.
Like the point. Ignore what he just said, folks. Ignore it. All right. Anyway, the point being, like I was trying to end off.
18 out of 28 bad dragon. 18 out of 20 is an admirable batting average.
No, again, they're still diamonds, just a little smudged, and like again, they're at the the bottom of the board. They're still. It's a freaking diamond. What more do you want? So it's a little small. Anyway, Mr. Undercutting my point.
I'm sorry. I just like it.
Anyway, like I was trying to end on a more whimsical note. That speaks to the caliber performer Mark Sipka is. One could say a diamond in the rough.
Well said.
All right. So again, I'll remind you folks that again we have you've reached the end of the 3 sketches we're covered. Basically, we went through kind of the catalog of Mark Sipka stuff. And kind of realized we had like 3 main big sketches of them that we haven't gotten to yet, which now we have covered. Which leaves kind of we wanted to end big because we realized we can't just end with this kind of exploring kind of this unexplored Sipka territory. I mean, it'll do, but we need some gangbusters. We need something big. And of course, we got the man himself. We're gonna be talking to him next week. Monday, day of fools, day of laughter, day of fun. Something that's representative of what JustGiggleIt is, and then the funny man himself. So we're gonna be talking to him. And again, leave some questions. Anything you want us to bring up to Sipka, we'll shout you out by all means. Just if you have any questions, any topics you want kind of put into play with Sipka, just leave the comments here. Leave them on the Twitter page, which again is So You Want to Be an Imagineer, 1955. But again, just kind of streamlined to the first letter. S. You hit him with the thing.
SYWTBAI.
Yes. 55. 1955 if you want to go the elongated route. Point being. So yeah, leave it on Twitter page, any of the Sipka videos, or on the Discord page on JustGiggleIt under JustGiggleIt Grab Bag. Even if it's on the general, I'll peruse it. Don't get me wrong, folks. But regardless, just JustGiggleIt Grab Bag. We'll get it there. We'll get you shouted at. It'll be great. Just join us on that night. Again, it's going to be Monday. I want to emphasize Monday, not Tuesday. Ordinarily, we do these little shindigs on Tuesday. We're doing it Monday. I'm gonna update things to reflect that. But again, we're doing it Monday. It's been a lot of fun. We've kind of analyzed the man. Now we're going to be talking to him next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you then on the next reach into the JustGiggleIt Grab Bag.
Would you say?
If the t-shirt fits.